Hey y'all, it's July the 28th, 2018, and y'all, we're a little bit on that breaking news tip. Alright, you already know what it is, you see where it's going. So we're diving back in. Like I said, sort of breaking news. I mean, this article in itself came out a couple days ago, and it's by our man Rafael Almeida. He's a contact reporter over there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Alright, the headline reads this. If you haven't seen it, and you probably have seen it, Parkland shooter's confession must be released to public, a judge ruled. I would like to add that that's very good news. For a while now, some people have noticed that, it's been of contention a little bit as far as whether or not to release this supposed confession, all right, that was made right after Nick Cruz got snatched up, right before he got hemmed up. All right, he did a confession, and for a while, his defense attorneys, who should be ashamed of themselves but have no shame, they've been arguing, we don't need to see this. Public doesn't need to see this. They don't need to see this confession because it's gonna, it's gonna hurt our client and stuff. All right, it's all some old BS. All right, basically, that has been the case, and they've been trying to, they've been kind of rattling it around whether or not to release this here statement to the public. Now, the statement's going to get released regardless, whether it gets leaked or not leaked. All right? So they're thinking about whether or not they want to release it to the public. Thing is, this article is going over some developments in which, basically that is going to happen. Let's go ahead and read the article because it's small. It's a small, poorly written article, but it, sort of descriptive. So this is Rafael Almeida of the Sunset. No, the public deserves a first-hand look at official records on the Parkland school shooting. I'm going to stop you right there, Rafael. Yeah, the public does. In fact, the public's been asking for it. In fact, the public's been demanding it. All right. So just to finish your sentence, this is including whether the school system should have known the gunman was a threat, two judges ruled Thursday. Now, like I said, it's a small article. It's not going to take too long. But I want to stop right there. Just take a moment. They've been talking about this for a while, as far as the Promise program and this and that. So let me reread that. They want to figure out whether the school system should have known the gunman was a threat. See, isn't that an interesting question? They want to know whether or not the school is guilty of not knowing whether or not Nicholas Cruz was a threat. Now, might I suggest that that's beside the point? Might I suggest that if the school system in which that we're talking about, if they knew for a fact in their bones that Nicholas Cruz was a threat, if they knew that, they still wouldn't have been able to do not a dang thing, all right, because they're completely and utterly incompetent. They cannot do their jobs at all. Should be fired. Should have been fired a long time ago. So it doesn't matter. That's what's funny. It doesn't matter if he was a threat. It doesn't matter if he was their worst enemy ever since he was born. The thing is, there's nothing that they could have done about it. They dropped the ball in every single way. I'm talking about the sheriff's office. I'm talking about the SWAT team. I'm talking about the FBI. I'm talking about the school board. I'm talking about everybody. All right, so that's laughable. It's laughable that you bring that up. But the records include a portion of Nicholas Cruz's confession and a consultant's report based on his time spent in Broward schools. As if we haven't heard, enough of y'all's, your evidence, your circumstantial evidence. We already heard all of it. We don't need to hear none of it. All right, so the twin rulings promise a trove of new information and insight into one of the deadliest school shootings in America. None of the information will be released until Cruz has a chance to appeal the rulings. Now, do you think Cruz has a chance to do anything in the world right now? When was the last time you heard of Cruz doing anything voluntarily? All right, so you must mean his defense attorneys, and you must mean that they're definitely going to appeal this. They certainly want to keep it a secret. Let's just go ahead and finish your little article. For months after the shooting, the school district deflected questions about its handling of Cruz, promising the questions would be explored. In an independent consultant's report, the district commissioned the report to review whether officials could have done more to identify the risk Cruz posed to the school community. Certainly, they could have done more, but who cares? They wouldn't have been able to stop the threat irregardless. If the threat came to their living room, all right, and knocked on the door kindly, they wouldn't be able to respond to it. They have not the first clue on how to respond to it. So that's interesting. I'm going to finish off this article. Cruz's defense lawyers argued that release of the report would have been inevitable. It would have been an inevitable effect on their case. And I want to stop you right there before we finish this off. Got to stop you right there because they've been saying this. His defense attorneys have been saying this exact thing over and over and over again. Let me read it to you one more time. Cruz's defense lawyers argued that release of the report would have an inevitable effect on their case. Here's what I got to tell you in case you didn't know. Cruz's defense lawyers, even speaking that way, is going to have an inevitable effect on his case, regardless. Right? Because you're basically, as your defense lawyers, you're basically saying, well, we know he's guilty for certain, but we don't want you to, we want to keep things a secret. And we're hoping we can keep things a secret. We're going to talk about that at the end of this video, but let's go ahead and finish up this article. The report was not compiled by law enforcement as part of a criminal investigation, the judge ruled. In the second ruling Thursday, Circuit Judge Elizabeth Scherer, who I gotta stress to y'all is our best friend, and is Nick Cruz's best friend, and she's been that for a while. All right, Circuit Judge Elizabeth Scherer ruled that Cruz cannot keep his full confession from being disclosed to the public. As if Cruz, when's the last time you've seen Cruz beg that it's not public or volunteer to do anything? All right. So Elizabeth Scherer ruled that Cruz cannot keep his full confession. Cruz can't do a damn thing. He can't go to the restroom without asking. All right, so Rafael Almeida says Circuit Judge Elizabeth Scherer ruled out that Cruz cannot keep his full confession from being disclosed to the public just because his case has generated a mountain of publicity. Yes, it has. Yes, it has. Certainly has. You can blame that on the Sun Sentinel. You can blame that on all these national publications talking about taking away all your guns because they're scared of you. So yeah, it's got a mountain of publicity, and in fact, Elizabeth Scherer is right on the money, as she seems to be usually. And in that, the public, forget Nicholas Cruz for a second, the public deserves. You keep shoving this and ramming it down our throats, how we're bad people, so we deserve to see whatever kind of evidence y'all have for us. We haven't seen any yet, all right? So let's go ahead and finish off this article. She rejected, and we're talking about Elizabeth Scherer. Judge Elizabeth Scherer rejected defense argument seeking to keep the statement secret until trial. Scherer wrote, no evidence was shown that public disclosure would result in a serious or imminent threat to the administration of justice in this case. Of course it ain't, Elizabeth. Of course it ain't. All right, you know that just as well as I know that. Cruz spoke to investigators for 13 hours, 13 whole hours. All right, I don't think we're going to get 13 hours of confession, but Cruz spoke to investigators for 13 hours, 13 whole hours after the arrest February 14th. During that time, police say he admitted going onto the campus, which we all know is true. So whether he admitted it or not does not matter because we already know. He went on the campus of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School with an AR-15 style rifle, killing 17 people and injuring 17 more. I would like to see a quote, Rafael Almeida. I would like to see a quote. Oh no, you don't got quotes. I forgot. You don't think much of quotes. Defense lawyers have publicly conceded his guilt. I know, obviously, and focus on trying to avoid the death penalty for Cruz, 19, a former student at the school. Oh, they're trying to save his life. Oh, it's a beautiful thing. Thursday's rulings come one day after the appeals court ordered the Broward Sheriff's Office to release video footage from outside the school during Cruz's rampage. Oh, from outside the school? The whole thing took place inside the building. Who really cares about the outside right now? The South Florida Sun Sentinel and other media outlets argued in court for the release of the confession, as if they care. The school report and the surveillance video as if they care. Scherer's rulings does not permit the release of what lawyers call the substance of Cruz's confession, right? Meaning his descriptions of the actual shootings. Oh, okay. Because they discussed, man, only a portion of this is going to get released. Only a portion of the 13 whole hours of confession is going to get released. So the details that can be released range from mundane, such as Cruz giving his name and some biographical information, to the incriminating, depending on how much the judge wants kept secret. It's like, dude, they're openly... Our legislation is openly talking about keeping secrets while telling us about the secrets. It's one thing if you want to keep secrets. It's another thing if you want to tell us all about how you're keeping secrets from us. Every single day in your newspapers. In May, prosecutors released 3 cell phone videos, which are stupid, in which Cruz could be heard smugly plotting the revenge. Yeah, for real. The defense lawyers have 10 days to appeal Scherer's ruling, in which, of course, they will. Public defender Howard Finkelstein, the brilliant Howard Finkelstein, whose office represents Cruz, said attorneys will review the ruling before deciding whether to challenge the decision. Oh, I'm sure they will. Englander Henig's ruling is also subject to challenge. Defense lawyers have 5 days to appeal, and I'm sure that they will. It's been a long enough video, you guys. There's a lot of little details. Article is a little bit longer than even I want. All right, it's kind of long, and as regards to Rafael Almeida and his previous work. Okay, so suffice it to say, the main point that I'm trying to make right now is, just like I've been saying, his defense lawyers want to keep everything a secret for as long as possible. All right, point blank period. They want everything a secret until it goes to trial, and they don't want this trial happening before November. Why? What happens in November? Midterm elections. That's what happens. You might say, well, they're not politicians, they're defense lawyers. Well, I don't know why they're doing what they're doing, but they're doing it. They're certainly doing it. They're pretending like they want to save this boy's life. They couldn't care less, actually. They don't want evidence shared, and they're making it painfully obvious, right? Making it painfully obvious. Meanwhile, what they wanted so bad, to get this confession kept secret, that's not going to happen, actually. Elizabeth Scherer, she saw to it. It's not going to happen. It's going to come out, and the thing is, whether or not y'all released it, it was going to come out regardless. It's going to be leaked. All right? And here's what I want to tell you about the confession that we're going to see, even before seeing it. And it's about a week out. We'll probably see it in a week's time. Here's what I want to tell you about it. The defense lawyers and all of them, they want to keep everything a secret. So anything that might not go with the official narrative, they're going to keep that a secret. Or they're going to try their very best. They're going to try their absolute very best to keep that part a secret. Where they're going to fail, and where they've been failing every last time, and they don't even realize it, is that the truth is going to leak out regardless. You can give us little bits and crumbs, and think that you're being slick, and think that you're keeping stuff from us, and think that no one's going to be the wiser. Actually, no. We're going to take any last piece of information that you give us. We're going to break it down like we've been breaking it down. All right? And then we're going to call you out for some liars, just like we've been calling you out for some liars. It's going to be that easy. It's going to be like fish in a barrel. And you think you're so slick. Yeah, y'all think you're so slick. All right? But we got good news, man. It's good news right here. Very good news. And only time will tell. I'll holler at all y'all a little bit later. Definitely today is a day worth celebrating. I'll holler at y'all a little bit later. I appreciate y'all. It's July the 28th, 2018.